Ah, yes, the nectar of the gods. We got ourselves some rum. So, what are we fighting today? I see Conqueror, Lilias, Choux, and Mercedes. So I attempt to go ahead and fight this with my usual kind of counter to Conqueror Lilias, is I like to throw a Sinji at it, and then I'm also going to attempt to kill the Mercedes with Zahhak, and then I have Destina there for backup safety. So, what we try to do is we try to go into the Mercedes, and it turns out this Mercedes is obscenely thick. So yeah, she survived that, and didn't even take that much damage. Vigor really doing some work right there. It just barely saved her. So, because of that, we're going to take this first hit from Choux. Isn't really super detrimental, because it's not even going to hit Zahhak. Not that big of a deal. But then, like, hey, we have such a tiny little bit of HP. We'll just go into Choux, kill her, everything's fine. And now we just have to deal with Choux. So here is where the nightmare scenario starts to happen. So that first hit on Zahhak actually hit him, and it crit him. So she could have activated her S2 and then immediately killed me right there. Yeah, I could have still revived him with Destina, but you really kind of want to save that revive as much as humanly possible. And because I do not have a 100% crit Zahhak, I'm just going into the Choux hoping that I get the crit. I managed to get it on both her and on Conqueror Lilias, and we're able to move on. So, next, this was somewhat of an error on my part. I'll explain it as we get further on down the line. But what we're fighting is Savior Adin, Senya, and Winter. And the big thing in particular that I bring into Winter is I bring Roana. Roana is super hyper omega based, who can heal even if she's stunned. So even if that's like an absurdly high effectiveness Winter, I can still manage to get some heals here. So the other thing I've also recently started to notice is a lot of Winters are starting to use Alabastron, and that just like has a bunch of random like horseshit debuffs that are attached to it. I do not know all of them off the top of my head, but I know Speed Down and Unhealable is on that list. But either way, so right now Roana is completely indisposed, but fortunately for any and all like counters that do happen, we do manage to get a little bit of heals going. So like right here, this is still working out. However, we are not actually running a massive amount of effect resist on my Last Rider Krau. I do need to ultimately fix that. It's something that I need to do. I need to at least get him to like over 100, just over 100, because then you don't have to worry about getting like control locked by a unit like a Senya, unless they're rocking absurd like effectiveness. And more than likely, they're probably not going to be rocking like massive amounts of effectiveness. It does happen. Like this one right here in particular is actually rocking a lot of effectiveness because she is hitting my Pyllis. Unfortunately, though, you also see this. My Pyllis has like a lot of damage on her. So that's the main reason why she was able to even get that provoke on. Because anytime Pyllis is like, I believe it's under 70% or 80%, it was something along those lines, that she loses essentially 60 ER if she's ever under that threshold of HP. Which always sucks when that happens. And with Savior Adin, yeah, she got deleted out of this game a long-ass time ago because of just how incredibly based Shadow Knight Pyllis' S3 is. It has hit rate on it. You can almost... It really does annihilate Adin. So if you have another unit that can hit into Adin to at least do some form of damage, you don't have to rely on using Shadow Knight Pyllis' S3 twice to deal with it. And what you just saw right there, I was checking the actual skill bars. Her S3 was already off cooldown. So I was completely free to go on ahead and use Roana's S3 just to get some extra healing. So that was not actually a mistake. There was no reason not to do that. But like I was saying about Adin, yeah, if you can just go into her with even like any other kind of little baby hits, you don't have to use Shadow Knight Pyllis for all of the hits in the Savior Adin. It's just one of the guaranteed ways that I like to fight that fight, just because it actually feels safe, it feels consistent. But either way, the error here, I just need to rebuild my Last Rider Krau with a lot more effect resist, because then he would be more free to use his S3. That was the only real error that was in play. Now, we're not exactly going into Conqueror Lilias, Senya, Choux, but we are going into Conqueror Lilias, Mercedes, and Choux. So, instead of having a control on this team, this guy went full balls to the wall, I'm gonna fuck your shit up damage. So, with that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize Troublemaker, Crozet, Roana, and my Lone Crescent Bellona. So what my Bellona is I switched her back to Injury. Just because, honestly, I just like the set. 2, it has a lot of crit damage on it, has like a fair amount of bulk on it, and it just kind of works. It was a lot more effective than Lifesteal, because whenever you injure something, that's permanent. You can't heal injury. We don't have any means of healing injury yet. So, I mean, hey, that's a factor. That's a point in injuries department. And, like, right here, I know this isn't going to kill any of them. Like, that's a Vigor Mercedes. I felt like I was going to be going into some tank shit. So I just decided to throw it out there on Mercedes. No big deal. And then right here, AoE just kills the first Mercedes. No big. And we still haven't injured Choux yet. But, like, I'm not actually worried yet. Because Roana is going to be doing plenty of healing in all fronts. Because it was like right here that I realized, wait a minute, why the hell am I even going into Mercedes? Mercedes is my source of healing with, like, Magic for Friends, and if she would have happened to have been on counter. So then I was like, oh yeah, fuck it. I'm just going to go into Choux. And Shazam, the injury is already starting to happen. So, with that said, this team is already marked for death. Because, like, right here, here's one big hit. Hey, cool, time to AoE. And there goes Mercedes number 2. And we're still going into the Choux just a little bit. Now, the good news is we were also able to procure enough souls on the first attack that Bellona did. Her S3 has just cooled down yet again. So we've already S3'd twice. Fucking amazing. And Shazam, both of the actual, like, physical threats are gone. So if I was going to utilize this, I could actually utilize this very same team going into Senya as well. The only real threat is a matter of, hey, is the Senya on, like, high effectiveness, on effectiveness? And fortunately, my Troublemaker Crozet is actually pretty damn good. He's not like an effect resist monster, but he does have enough to where I think I would be okay. And I think this team would still ultimately do extremely well against a Senya instead of a Mercedes on the team. And I'm probably going to try it out as well, just because it feels safe and it feels very, very consistent. Now, here we have Celine, Spirit Eye Celine, and Edward, and we're going into some pretty old school kind of like cleave kind of shit. So that's Apocalypse Ravi, Summertime Iseria, and Peira. Now, Peira has already marked the death warrant for Summertime Iseria, mainly because I refuse to ever fight that fight ever again. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing this fucking bullshit effectiveness horseshit cleave bomb horseshit that she does. I'm just not doing it. So, whenever Peira goes into my team, that activates Summertime Iseria, she's going to have the highest attack, and Shazam. Then she immediately gets killed by Celine before the damage mitigation comes in. Now, with that being said, Spirit Eye Celine is about to get her turn, and her S3 completely cleanses her. So she didn't take enough damage from the Peira, nor from the Apocalypse Ravi to really be killed. Because anytime Peira goes, Peira's not really ever doing enough damage. She's always an effectiveness monster. That's kind of like how they always build her. It's just how it is. So, with that said, we've got that taken care of, and then we're just going to go 2 more times with Celine and Spirit Eye Celine, and this is done. Right here. Delicious rum. Oh, damn. Now, this was a mistake on my part, but it was also some form of effective testing. So we have Conqueror Lilias, Remnant Violet, and Choux. So the first mistake I make is I just immediately go into Choux, and then she snow crystals, this procs, and then pushes her up on the CR bar. Now, what this does is this has effectively killed my Doris. But this is not the end of the world, because things are still going to work very, very well in my favor. I completely underestimate how much damage a Vigor Remnant Violet does, because I don't see it very often. And she took an immense amount of damage. That's something you don't really see too often, is like Remnant Violet just utterly destroying your Doris. But, well, looky there. Look who already has their S3 because he was the only target that was there to be hit. Well, looks like it's time to kill Remnant Violet. Love it when a plan comes together. That's a dodge, too, by the way. You are marked for death. You cannot survive. Only thing that would have probably worked through that is if that was like a very, very heavy HP Remnant Violet, but he wasn't. That was just a damage one, which is kind of typical what you would normally see. Oh, hey, looky there. Look who has their S3 already. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to revive and do a big heal because this also cleanses my Dark Corvus. So now he doesn't have Provoke anymore. I can utilize Doris's turn because she died really, really early right before her turn. So she stays in the same place on the CR bar, heal herself, and then we just Soul Burn, kill the Choux. Now, this is going to kill the Choux, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to skip ahead, and there we're also going to kill Conqueror Lilias. Like, you don't need to see me actually building up, Dark Corvus' S3 again. You understand. So, right here we're fighting Ran, Mercedes, and Savior Adin. Now, keep in mind, this is also an RNL Ran, and the guy just didn't get lucky enough. Like, RNL procs, like, a lot at the very tail end, but it doesn't really proc that much. So, hey, sucks to be you. Go fuck yourself. RNL's a fucking retarded artifact anyway. So, with that said, we're just going into Mercedes. Now, we have Roana here, who's doing basically a big-ass chunk of the healing. And thankfully, we didn't have Death Break with, Stigma that Ran does. So, Ed didn't have to worry about being hit with Death Break. Good news is like, Arowell's here, so she can really, really kind of mitigate a lot of that damage. And, well, now that we've really kind of taken care of the first turn, which is Ran doing Ran shit, the thing that he always does, we just got to go into Mercedes, eventually kill her, and I will take the time to then eventually pivot, go to Savior Adin, and then just deal with her, and I'll deal with Ran accordingly. So that Savior Adin is actually doing a fairly decent amount of damage, and I'm just like, ooh, okay, I need to kill this Mercedes quick, so then I can just start to pivot. So I haven't used my S3 yet for Roana. Hey, lucky me. So it's time to go ahead and do a big ol' heal. Hooray. Now we got ourselves a little bit more HP. The Mercedes had attack buff there, so here's a follow-up attack on her S2. There's some more HP, and good old Ran gets to go again. So this is ultimately going to kill the Mercedes because the debuffs are going to hit Ed, which only one did again. Thanks, 15%. You the best. And now I'm just utilizing this time. I'm just going to go into Ran because my HP is actually looking kind of shitty on Arowell. So I then decide, okay, well, I'm going to use Roana, hit Savior Adin and get, countered, and then heal a whole bunch. That didn't happen. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to use Arowell to go into Savior Adin, hit her, get missed, and then, get a barrier and get a big heal from the counterattack. Cool, she still didn't dodge. Alright, so then I guess I'm just going to straight up go for it, and I get to land the crit with Ed, and hey, cool, oh no, Savior Adin didn't dodge. Ooh. Yeah, go fuck yourself, you stupid bitch. I don't know anybody who would feel bad for Savior Adin at that point, man. I hate that bitch. Just really, really dumb evasion unit. And by the way, yeah, here's where all the RNL procs come in. So that was one RNL. Here's another turn. Hey, look, there's another RNL. That is such a fucking dumb artifact. That shit should not happen. If you RNL, it just straight up should have a turn cooldown kind of thing to it. But whatever. Hey, we got through it, and that's the Guild War. Ah, delicious. So, with that being said, that was the Guild War, folks. I don't really have a whole lot to say right now, because this really wasn't a super crazy Guild War. I just used a whole bunch of different units for a lot of different stuff. I am going to attempt on Wednesday to maybe try to use Moon Bunny Dominil for one of for some fights. I just Speed Gear just ain't rolling right, man. I fucking hate Speed Gear. So it's yeah, I have a lot of ER and I have a lot of HP and tankiness, but then I'm oh yeah, 220 something speed. It's wow, that's super useful. That's gonna be real helpful right there, because you essentially need to be what, 250 minimum and then 270 max for Moon Bunny to even be remotely useful. You basically have to have the exact same kind of shit on Basar, or Desert Jewel Bazaar, that is. It's just DJB actually has like a little bit more defensive options if you don't need to cleanse, because then you just straight up don't use the S3, and Shazam, you have like 30% damage mitigation off of critical hits, which is kind of based. But like, whatever. That's, I think, the big thing that sucks about Moon Bunny is just you need that. You have to go into units that specifically do extra turn shit, and there's like not enough extra turn shit that's like super crazy. I could attempt it maybe on Lua, but I just don't feel confident with that. I don't know, man. I'll have to actually like really look at it tomorrow, like on Wednesday. I'll see whatever I can really do with it, but I'm going to, honest to God, try it. And I'm definitely going to keep trying the Troublemaker Crozet Lone Crescent Bellona thing, because like that just felt clean. It felt kind of quick. Because like, yeah, Roana, Shadow Knight Pyllis, and Christie or Arunca, it works, but it's, I don't know, it's boring. It's just really boring. I'm getting really tired of it. But hey, with that said, I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to see more of my content, please hit subscribe. Later.